Two biggest semi stocks in the market. Broadcom surging more than 9% to a new record after announcing it had received a $10 billion order for AI chips from a single customer widely thought to be OpenAI. The stock was the best performer in the S&P, valuing the company at more than $1.5 trillion. NVIDIA, meantime, moved sharply in the other direction, the stock dropping more than 4% at its lows, notching its sixth down day in 7 sessions. Shares have now lost more than 8% since the company reported earnings just last Wednesday. The stock lower as well. So is Broadcom's gain. So lead to pain for everyone else in the AI trade? I think that's a big question, especially when you see this sort of transfer of market capitalization, Tim.
It's fantastic. And I would argue that the numbers, at least outside of the order you just discussed in terms of where Broadcom has now announced, and it's exciting, and is that NVIDIA's numbers were fantastic, but the stock has struggled, and it's struggled certainly along with the broader semi space. If you look at the broader semi space, it wasn't a good day for AMD. It was an okay day for Taiwan Semi, and I think some of this differentiation is simply some rotation. I don't think there's anything in terms of the bottom-up stories in both companies that have changed. I think the story in Broadcom is extraordinary. The price action as a function of that order, I think, is exactly what you wanted to see if you're an investor, because we sat on the desk last night. We looked at those numbers. We looked at some of the dynamics on margin in terms of sales and where they were, their customer base, and it seemed as if it was set to kind of hold serve. This latest round of news really pushes it higher. Yeah, Bernstein's Stacey Raskin was saying that, on a call back with the company, they basically indicated that the AI spend was actually accelerating, and that's when they'll reach staggeringly large numbers. The rotation, Mike, I thought was interesting, as Tim mentioned that, we saw that happen today, and yet it is a rotation from NVIDIA to a higher valuation stock. So it's not clear that that rotation should have happened.
It does if you think about it from the growth perspective, I think. And this is really a result of NVIDIA's comments when they reported, and they basically said that, we shouldn't necessarily anticipate that the pace of growth was going to be continued indefinitely. They hinted that they outright said it, right? That the growth rate was going to slow in the future. We should probably have expected that. We're getting to a point where the amount that was being invested in their product, there's even the hyperscalers run out of money at some point. So the exponential growth was going to have some sort of functional limit to it. Broadcom just had a little bit more room, and the growth rate that they're projecting right now is a little bit higher, and that supports a higher multiple.
This is the ultimate would you rather in the market today, Carter. The market spoke with the gain in Broadcom, but what do you say?
Yeah, well, for starters, on a 2-year basis, they're about even now, right? So one has come off and one has popped. But the intraday action is, there are 2 ways to interpret it. A stock that gaps up on news and makes an important advance is in principle a bullish thing, but the stock closed on the low, which is, say, intraday, right? It couldn't stick its landing. A great gymnast trips it and then lands versus wobbles. It wobbled badly. The volume was heavy, about $26 billion in value traded. My hunch is that it will fill this gap that it left behind from today's news-related pop. Long way to answer which one here now. Still a Vago, because at least it's doing something positive. NVIDIA has broken trend. And finally, let's just say this, and Tim makes this point. The SOX still has not exceeded its July high. That's a problem. What's left? News from a Vago? Well, that's out. News from NVIDIA? We heard from NVIDIA. What is it that pushes semis higher, now below where they were from July of a year ago?